many of you consider yourselves to be creative? Creative. Raise your hand if you're creative. Well, less than I thought, which means we got some work to do today. Because my goal this morning is to raise that number to 100% by the end of the morning, especially by the end of today. Because as James Altucher says, being creative means you're often lost in the woods. But not being creative means you're stuck in traffic with everybody else. And I don't know about you, but I hate being stuck in traffic. And I take heart in the fact that even if I do get lost in the woods, being more creative can help me get out of the woods as well. But before we get into any of that, isn't today great? Isn't it awesome outside? This is the greatest day of my life. It really is. You know why? It's the only day that's real. In fact, right now is the only moment that's real. Everything else is something in my imagination about the past or about the future. So what I'd like to do to help set the stage for us today is to make it just a little more real. If you'd like that as well, then join me in taking a deep breath from your belly like this. Try it one more time with your eyes closed. And then a third time with a big sigh, and feel the oxygen go through your whole body one more time. See if you can feel it from your fingers down to your toes. And then, I didn't hear too many ahs, but that brings us to right here, right now. Otto von Bismarck said, "Fools learn from experience. I prefer to learn from the experience of others." In my case, what I'm going to help today is explore what I've learned over half a century on this planet and what I've distilled down to a couple of key ideas for helping taking different perspectives. Okay, and I'm going to start with a little story, and I'm also going to give you a mnemonic to remember. How many of you know who the founder, the creator of Post-it notes is? The company. Can I hear it? 3M. 3M. So we're going to use 3M today. M stands for mindset. Mindset, number one. What do you think number two will be? Metaphor. And number three is meditation. We're going to talk about these three things. And it starts with a story. Last July 22nd, I was flying from Honolulu to Kona, Hawaii. Beautiful flight, short flight to pick up my son from summer school. And I learned something on that flight. Something I had heard before, I had even thought of before, but it had never taken root inside of me. Or perhaps it had taken root, but it certainly hadn't grown any branches, and it certainly wasn't allowing me to taste the nice, sweet fruit that I've been able to enjoy since relearning this very important concept. So I was on this flight, sitting next to and talking to a young woman who happened to be traveling over to the Big Island to perform with her band. And it turned out the band was seated all around us. Percussionists, vocalists, the bass player was right in front of us. They play in a really popular reggae band that was playing for a sold-out performance in Kona. And as we were getting off the plane, the bass player invited me to come to their show as a VIP guest. I thought, this is going to be great. He says, "I really hope you enjoy the show." And I said, "Well, you're a bass player. It's a reggae band. As long as the bass player knows how to play bass, it should be pretty good." I know it's not that good of a joke, but I'd flown all night. And I was with him, and he says to me an answer that almost knocked me back into my seat. He said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know how to play the bass." I said, "What? You don't know how to play?" He said, "No, I'm learning how to play the bass, but I'll never know how to play the bass." Wow. Talk about an outside-the-box comment and a perspective of always learning. Always and always. A-L-L, new word, ways, and always learning. This is an especially important message for students, I believe, but it applies to everybody. A lot of times when you take a class, you think, okay, I've taken this class, now I've learned that subject. Or, especially if I got an A. Even worse, especially if I'm now teaching the subject, then definitely I know the subject. But I'm here to say there's always more to explore. You just want to look deeper into yourself and into the subject. I'm continuously learning. One of my favorite tools that I use is metaphor, and I use it through a game called Everything is Like Everything Else. Back in the 1990s, I used to coach people on getting into graduate school. So I'd help them with their essays and preparing for their admissions interviews. And we used this tool together to help them be more creative and more excited about their career. At the same time, I still use it when I work with clients that are looking to solve problems, like maybe some of you have even today, or when I'm writing songs with my band Moonshots. The way it works is this. You have a topic or a thought, something you're working on, a project. Could be, just let's take, for example, a business plan. Most of you probably know what a business plan is. You might have even seen one. Business plan, I would write the top of a piece of paper, business plan, and then just put a line right down the middle. And on the left side, I would make a list. I put a title. It says abstract nouns. Abstract. Everyone knows what abstract means? Something you can't touch, can't taste, can't feel. Most business concepts you cannot touch, taste, feel, smell, hear. Things like marketing, finance, operations. Those are business plan items, right? Then on the right side, you just list up random, concrete items. Things that you see every day. Something you could touch, something you can taste. Could be your new iPhone. It could be your favorite downhill skis. It could be your Jazzmaster guitar. It could be anything that's concrete. Then the game starts. It's a simple game called Everything is Like Everything Else. You just draw lines across. How is marketing like a Jazzmaster guitar? I'm not going to quiz you on that right now. Don't worry. We're not going to do this in real time. But the truth is, if you dig deep, you can find a connecting verb that links the two. And now you've got a metaphor or an analogy, however you want to call it. It's a comparison. And what happens is you've excited your own brain because you can actually see something like my favorite Jazzmaster guitar. And now it's connected to something else that I can't see, but I can use. So this is the power of metaphor. And what you can do with this is raise your, it wakes up your creative mind, and it can give you more energy. Now, what we could do, I don't know if we have time, what we'll probably do at the end, we may explore that a little bit deeper. But what I'd like to do instead is just share with you a couple of my favorite examples that came up. One was just 2 days ago. Businesswoman we were discussing her work, and she said, my big challenge right now is finding a better business partner. I had a business partner, turned out it didn't work. We lost some money. Now I need a new partner, but I don't even know how to begin. And you could just sense the dread. It's like, oh, now I got to do this. I don't want to work for that. We said, okay, well, business partner. That's abstract. No one can see a business partner. So I said, so what is something that you like doing? She said, baking. But baking is also abstract. I can't see baking. I said, what do you mean? What do you like to bake? Cookies. I said, okay, well, what kind of cookies? Chocolate chip cookies. Okay, so how is finding a business partner anything like chocolate chip cookies? Remember, this is just a random thing. And she said, well, I really need to find, in order to make good chocolate chip cookies, I need the right ingredients. Right. So let's start to make a list of the right ingredients you're looking for in a business partner. You could just see her eyes light up. She starts thinking, we start brainstorming a bit. She leaves thinking, okay, I can now I'm on track towards finding a new business partner. That's the power of metaphor for me. Okay. And for anybody that wants to use this powerful tool, metaphor. I have one more metaphor, one more tool, and it's one more M. 3M. Third M stands for meditation. Meditation is got to be the killer tool for me in terms of increasing creativity and changing perspective. First of all, there are tons of different types of meditation, okay? All types. And I've enjoyed many of them. Especially as a singer, one thing is this humming. Just humming in the morning, 2-3 minutes. 3 minutes. Warms up your voice, also calms your brain, also activates. There's a reason why people often do this aum, and it's not some hocus pocus stuff. The reason for doing that is it can actually wake you up. Powerful tool. And the metaphor I'm taking from Jerry Seinfeld, one of my favorite comedians, when he's talking seriously about meditation. He said his type of meditation, which is one I practiced for the last year and a half too, transcendental meditation, TM. He said TM, or meditation, is like your iPhone charger. He said, you know, you plug in your iPhone for about 20 minutes, then it's charged up, and you feel it's ready. And you know that feeling you have because your iPhone is charged up. You feel comfortable the rest of the day. It's the same thing with meditation. 20 minutes in the morning, charged up for the day. 20 minutes in the afternoon, again, charged up. Some people ask, by the way, and we will have time for some Q&A. It's unusual for this format, but I would like some questions from you about what we've covered, questions or comments. One thing that happens when you charge up through meditation is that when it comes time to need a creative idea, you can access deeper levels of creativity, and you can become calm in almost any situation because you've trained yourself to calm yourself. So that's the third M, this meditation. And it doesn't matter what type of meditation I've found. I've tried several, started about 10 years ago by answering one question that I'll close this segment of. Answering the question, you might want to think about this question. What's one skill that if you worked on it this year would make a huge difference for you next year of all the other things you're trying to accomplish? And about 10 years ago, I answered that question saying, probably if I learned how to meditate. And I didn't know what path that was going to take me on, but it's taken me on really, really interesting creative paths through this power of third M, meditation. So what I'd like to do now is take questions, seriously. Any question, something that I've covered so far of the 3 M's, that means, what's the first one? Mindset, a mindset of always learning, always learning, having that kind of mindset. Second one is metaphor. And the third one is meditation. Is there a question or comment? Or, great thing is I can see you now if I go like this. Yes, question straight in the back. What if you can't make it work? All right. Then you might, this is interesting. I was in an airplane. I learned a lot of stuff on airplanes. I was from from Los Angeles to San Francisco, and I was trying to open the overhead compartment of the luggage rack, and I couldn't get it open. So I said to the flight attendant, "Excuse me, I can't get this to work." And one of the other passengers said, "Well, why don't you try getting it to play?" Try getting it to play. I thought, that's just a brilliant answer. The whole point is to be able to play with work. Make work like play. So I would, if you can't get it to work, whether it's meditation, using a metaphor, one interesting thing about the metaphor activity is you are forcing yourself, right? This is forced metaphor. You have this constriction, this restriction, but that actually leads to freedom. One thing I've noticed living in Japan, some of the strictest rules-based country in the world, right? What's your most famous type of poetry is? Haiku, it's got this specific rules. And yet, some of the most beautiful poetry can come out of that. So that's how you can use restrictions to help you. What else? Another question or comment? Yes. What's that? Another M. You want one more M, one more idea to do what? To be successful. Okay. One more idea to be successful. By the way, fantastic question. And one of the best other tools you can use is, I'm going to use the M here, but massive ideas or mess of ideas, doesn't matter. Every day writing down 10 ideas, 10 ideas. I took that from James Altucher, one of the motivational writers, speakers, but it's fantastic. You will always be able to come up with another idea if you work every day on another of 10 ideas. The M that I would say for being successful is combination of motivation and manipulation. Manipulate yourself, motivate yourself into reaching the goal that you set. Okay? You need to have a clear idea of what success really means, and then write it down, motivate yourself towards that goal, and always add little extra points to your goal. I always say, and I will be happy too. And my family will be happy too. Because you can get success, but success depends on how you define it, and you will get it. There's a famous expression, be careful what you wish for, and people usually add, because you might get it. But it's, you will get it. Does that answer the question? Does it motivate you or manipulate you? Any other question? Yes? Learn from the past, work hard in the present, plan for the future. I like all of that, except for the plan for the future. It doesn't work anymore. Who can see the future? I don't know. That's the only one that I like having a goal out there, but planning for it just stopped working for me. Yes. 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 Allow your ideas. Yes. To be real. I think we have a time for maybe one more question. Yes. So you often hear that in order to be creative, utilize your right brain. I think that's much better than using your wrong brain. I mean, I would definitely prefer to use my right brain than my wrong brain. Actually, it does remind me, people, I don't know how many are left-handed here. I happen to be left-handed, and somebody said, some studies show the right brain controls the left side of the body, and the left side of the brain controls the right side of the body. That means only left-handed people are in their right minds. I kind of like that, but that's only for those of us who are left-handed. A discriminated group, by the way. I do want to share one last metaphor, and then wrap up then. So one of my favorite metaphors, it really sticks in my mind, even though it was 15 years ago. One of our clients was working to present to senior management, and he was very frustrated with the strategy that's been going on with his company. So after doing the exercise of the metaphors, he said, he opened his presentation to senior management with the following statement. He said, "Gentlemen, our strategy is just like underwear, changing every day." And I thought, that's a good use. You can say, well, I think our strategy is changing too much. But once they get this image in their mind, like, okay, we better change our strategy once more and keep it for a while instead of being like underwear. So let's use the mindset that's set like that bass player has, that we're always learning something new. We can always grow. We can always find more to explore. And let's use the power of metaphor, because you can find by playing that game that no matter what you're doing, what you're talking about, it can be in some way like your very favorite activity. Okay? And then finally, if you're interested in accessing this more creative energy, a different kind of energy, highly recommend you practice that meditation. If you're one of those few that thinks, well, meditation is a lot of mumbo jumbo, then I say, let's go back to that first M, mindset. Have an open mind. See how it can help you. Because then you'll definitely be able to enjoy your life, the only life that matters, the only life that you have, right here, right now. Thank you.